And I'm sure fans were heartbroken to see their favorite villain of all time as just a little innocent young boy who just wants to help people. But for me, I did find it fascinating how a human being can go from this
Mom, you say the biggest problem in this universe is nobody helps each other.
to this.
Where are those transmissions you intercepted? What have you done with those plans?
We intercepted no transmissions. This is a consular ship. We're on a diplomatic mission.
If this is a consular ship, where is the ambassador?
One of the key elements of this in the introduction of Anakin and the development of Anakin in this film is that I wanted him to be a very earnest, very honest, very good-natured person. Just the opposite of the way you think of Darth Vader. Because the larger story is really how does such a sweet kid like this turn into something as evil as Darth Vader.
So there's a lot at stake here with just this one race. And I'm not even going to get into that right now because it makes my head hurt. Before the race begins, Qui-Gon shares with Anakin a small but important lesson in Jedi wisdom.
Remember, concentrate on the moment. Feel, don't think. Use your instincts.
I said empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup. It becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Now at the time, the pod race scene is probably the first movie to get as close to the action and intensity of a race. Not even Tony Scott's Days of Thunder made you experience a race like this. This movie, as we like to say, places you right in the middle of the action. The end of the race is a no-brainer since we all know Anakin's fate. Still, with both vehicles stuck together and the slightest bump or nudge meaning the end for either one of them, it creates a very intense climax. A similar crisis is seen when Luke is dragged under the trash by the garbage monster. In both cases, you know there's no way the main character is going to bite the dust, but Lucas does a great job at stretching out suspense in both movies, that you begin to wonder if our heroes will actually survive.
It's an age-old technique that storytellers use to mislead the audience, experience a wide range of emotions, and have a little fun at the same time.
So Anakin saves the day, becomes the big hero, and finds that he's been freed as a slave. But the price of becoming a Jedi proves high as Anakin is forced to face the cold harshness of leaving his mother behind.
It is time for you to let go.
The final goodbye is a scene that I enjoyed. We all have to say goodbye to the ones we love at one point or another in our lives, and for anyone who has to go through that lesson as a child, well, it's going to have even more of a deep emotional impact on them.
Will I ever see you again?
What does your heart tell you?
I hope so. Yes. I guess.
Then we will see each other again.
Oh, and by the way, they end up leaving 3PO behind.
Yeah, it's not like a droid who can translate over 6 million languages would be of any use whatsoever.
This is all we're going to see of my grandmother's favorite character? You're going to rely on some klutz who can't even take care of himself?
But before Anakin is able to cross over into the unknown world he is excited about, an evil force of which would be his greatest enemy in more ways than one attacks him. In a way, this is Anakin's first trial, having to pass through a Sith Lord acting as a threshold guardian that blocks the entrance into his new life. And like Obi-Wan with Luke, he has his mentor to protect him. But it still tests Anakin's courage and obedience in an unfamiliar situation to him. Of course, they all get away, and the audience is rather gypped out of the potential for a really great fight scene. But the Sith's role in the picture is cut so we can venture into the exciting world of politics.
Delegates of the Senate, a tragedy has occurred.
Which started right here with the taxation of trade routes and has now engulfed our entire planet in the oppression of the Trade Federation.
Because when you think Star Wars, you think of a bunch of old people arguing on how to run the galaxy, right? Now, in the novel, Maul does leap onto the platform, and he and Qui-Gon do clash swords for a while longer before Maul is knocked off. In the movie,
And when you separate the fact that this is not giving the fans what they want to see, Ian McDiarmid's performance is fabulous. Palpatine is such a con man. Already you can see that he's thinking how he can use this to his advantage.
I must be frank, Your Majesty. There is little chance the Senate will act on the invasion.
but here's the thing about that.
This whole invasion was to get the Queen to unknowingly help him gain power. Why was it so important for Amidala to sign the treaty?
I want that treaty signed.
And why even send his best minion to take the Queen back to Naboo? And all for a build-up that has very little payoff.
Thankfully, Ian McDiarmid's performance does restore some credibility to our 10th subplot.
The way Palpatine manipulates Amidala into helping him seize the highest political office is clever. When he first suggests to call out the Chancellor, she almost can't believe it. So what Palpatine does is give an ultimatum using the lives of innocent people, saying they need to throw out the Chancellor or let people die.
Our people are dying, Senator. We must do something quickly to stop the Federation.
To be realistic, Your Majesty, I think we're going to have to accept Federation control for the time being.
Now this goes back to what I was talking about earlier. If the Queen is so incredibly worried about the suffering of her people, shouldn't the audience experience that suffering firsthand? Children being torn away from their mothers, fathers being used for slave labor.
Kill them! Kill them all!
I guess this was her home. Poor little thing. She lost it all. It's okay now. We're here to help.
We see the Queen distraught with grief over the suffering of her people. But once again, we're just told about it. A good adventure story is going to make you experience the grief and danger.
And in The Empire Strikes Back, we see how Lando Calrissian's betrayal tears apart Han and Leia from each other. Just as when Leia is ready to admit how she feels about Han.
The princess, you have to take care of her. You hear me? Huh?
I love you.
I know.
So, to review. Good example of audience experiencing peril?
I can't hold off forever. Now what?
This is some rescue. When you came in here, did you have a plan for getting out?
He's the brains, sweetheart. Well, I didn't.
Bad example of audience experiencing peril.
You're thinking you people gonna die?
I don't know.
Gungans get pasted too, eh?
I hope not.
Now, you can argue that the Senate debate gives the audience time to catch their breath after going through two major trials of the pod race and facing Darth Maul, although I'm not sure who would even try to debate that. But we've already spent so much time just figuring out just how to get off Tatooine, that the audience is expecting something more than, once again, old people arguing with each other.
I mean, having slow, drawn-out scenes in a Star Wars movie? That's absolutely...
Yes, sir. I'm only a droid and not very knowledgeable about such things. Not on this planet, anyway. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure which planet I'm on.
Well, if there's a bright center to the universe, you're on the planet that it's farthest from.
I see, sir.
Oh, you can call me Luke.
I see, Sir Luke.
No, just Luke.
Oh. And I am C-3PO, human-cyborg relations. And this is my counterpart, R2-D2.
Hello.
You know, I think that R2 unit we bought might have been stolen.
What makes you think that?
Well, I stumbled across a recording while I was cleaning him. He says he belongs to someone called Obi-Wan Kenobi. I thought he might have meant old Ben. Do you know what he's talking about? Oh, I wonder if he's related to Ben.
That wizard's just a crazy old man. Now, tomorrow I want you to take that R2 unit to Anchorhead and have its memory erased. That'll be the end of it. It belongs to us now.
You fought in the Clone Wars?
Yes. I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your father.
I wish I'd known him.
He was the best star pilot in the galaxy. And a cunning warrior. I understand you've become quite a good pilot yourself. And he was a good friend.
Ridiculous?
Sure, the first movie had its slow parts, but we're a lot more invested because the opening scene tells us that our heroes are in for a very tough time. The opening sequence in Phantom Menace was exciting, but since the Jedi destroy the battle droids with so little difficulty, it doesn't feel as if there's much at stake.
This could have been rectified if, once again, the movie gave us a feel for the suffering that the people of Naboo are going through. But it never does.
I have to commend Lucasfilm for making the Jedi Council room circular. It's a trait people like to use when they don't want anyone to stand out above another. Everyone faces each other and recognizes each other as equals. So Anakin is brought before the Jedi Council, but they feel how strongly attached he is to his mother, which makes them conclude he would not be able to accept the Jedi way.
I will train him then.
This little subtlety of resentment I like. It shows the foundations of how rocky the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan as teacher and student will be.
You're not a little boy anymore, but as long as you are my student, you will heed my wisdom.
You're right. I'm not a little boy. And as far as your wisdom goes, you're no Qui-Gon Jinn.
And the truth comes out.